Hey there, everyone. Unless you live under a rock, you've no doubtedly heard about all of this stuff going on with Facebook and Twitter, and more so, everybody kind of flocking over to Parler because of the censorship and all of that. And today in this video, I wanted to talk about why I've decided to kind of focus my attention over there, as well as Brian Duff and I, when we do the Duff and Dale show, where we're going to start to kind of head in that direction and go over there where you can actually get those dissenting opinions and get all of the information that people post. Now, on Facebook these days, it used to be fairly decent, but to me, free speech means exactly that, free speech. It's not what other people feel like it should be free speech or not. And when I'm on Facebook, it always feels like I'm behind some sort of firewall where there's this information that I'm not allowed to decide my own opinion about. Granted, there's with social media and all of that, and everybody being able to have an opinion, there's a lot out there that is just complete noise, complete crap. But I want to be able to decide that for myself. What's real, what's not. These days, it seems like we're getting kind of trained to almost like preppers and conservatives even are the outcasts. And we're being trained that if you think like this, if you question anything, you're just off your rocker and you're wrong. You get on these social media sites and you see all the censorship they're doing. This Hunter Biden story was one of the big ones because who knows what facts are true and what facts are not. But when nothing is getting reported on it, we lose that choice we have of looking into things and diving deeper into it. When all of these mainstream media companies are spewing the same line, basically, there's really nowhere to go to get that information and decide for ourselves, what's fact, what's not true. We've all known the government can't be trusted for years and years. We all know the mainstream media has their biases and they're skewing their programs and all of that based on what those biases are, what their viewership is going to be, and based on what guests they can get on their show. If they don't talk certain talking points, different politicians aren't going to come on their show. So we all know all of this stuff happens. My thing with this is I think that we're smarter than these people think we are. We're smart enough to kind of filter through this stuff and figure out what's true and what's not. And just because we question something doesn't make us that conspiracy theorist. This all leads me to why I wanted to head over to Parler or find alternatives to Facebook and Twitter. It's their right, I suppose. If they want to create this little bubble where all they have is people talking the same points, then, be it, so be it. I mean, let them. I don't want to be any part of that machine, though. I want to be able to think freely. I want to be able to question things. And if we can't, this is kind of Orwellian, because if you can't question things, if you're treated as an outcast for questioning things, it's kind of like a cult, basically. The reason cults don't allow their members or try to keep their members from going outside into the real world is because then they might find out that, hey, this cult isn't all it's cracked up to be. I'm not saying our government is a cult, but, you make up your own mind. But anyway, that's why I decided to go to Parler, and I wanted to just do a quick kind of review of Parler, what I think. There's a lot of people over there. There's not as many as I would like yet, especially the preppers. But, eventually I think it could be something really cool because you could go there, you can state your opinions, and it's not going to get censored like it does on Facebook. Now, there are rules and all that over there, and I'll go through those, but it's nothing near what Facebook and Twitter are doing. Let me do a screen share here real quick, and I'll show you my Parler account. And what this is, basically, it's kind of a mix between Instagram, Twitter. It's a lot like Twitter, and a little bit of Facebook. As you scroll through your feed, anybody you follow is going to be in your feed. So it's not curated like Facebook or Twitter decides what you are interested in hearing or what you should be hearing. Nothing is throttled over here like it is on Facebook and Twitter. There's a lot of different stuff. Right now, it's a lot of political stuff because of the election and because so many people are flocking over because of the things that are going on with the election and the Hunter Biden story and all of that. So there's a lot of political noise over here, and a lot of Trumpyism. So, but if we get more preppers and stuff over there, I think it'll kind of even itself out. And you can even see over here with these tags, if you just click the prepping tag, it shows you a lot of the different stuff. Here's one from Brian about our Duff and Dale channel, why we switched to Parler. A lot of different stuff in there, and you can learn a lot of stuff. If you go to my main feed, just go to the profile. I've got it set up here where I'm sharing a lot of stuff that has to do with prepping. And what I want to do is make this a place where we can go, because as being the outcast, so to speak, there isn't a lot of opportunity. We've got the private groups in Facebook, and there's a lot of noise on Twitter. A lot of people don't even use Twitter, but with this, we can it's almost like our alternative space. So with me, I plan on still using Facebook to talk to family and friends that maybe live in different states and keep in touch with people and stuff like that. But as far as my personal opinions, political views, prepping, all of that stuff, I'm going completely away from the Facebook thing. But Parler is a great alternative for that, because you can get on there, you can interact with things, you can say things on there, and you don't have to worry about, getting labeled or, getting put into some sort of algorithm that labels you as one of the whack jobs. Right now, it's a little bit wonky because of how much everybody is kind of flocking to Parler. It's a little bit, it's frustrating at times, but eventually, once they get everything ironed out, once they start growing, adding some features and all that, it's kind of like Facebook was in the very beginning, like a lot of these social media platforms are in the very beginning. Once they start adding some stuff and do some things, I see it getting a whole lot better than it is now. Now, this isn't a complete Facebook alternative. Something like Me may work better, or We, I think is what it's called. That may work better as far as creating groups and communities and stuff like that. I think we're going to go ahead and try that as well, for Survivalist Prepper as well as Duff and Dale. But for right now, this Parler app, you can get it on desktop version like I was just showing here, or the app for your phone as well. You do have to give them your phone number for two-factor verification, but when you think about that, some people kind of don't like that, but when you think about that, every single app that you have on your phone has access to your phone number and all of that stuff, and address and all of that. So it's not, I don't see it as that intrusive. Some people may, but it's really a cool app. One more screen share here. I want to show you the terms of service. They're prominently displayed down here at the bottom, and they're actually pretty short. This is probably the first terms of service I've actually read all the way through. The community guidelines talks about how they will reserve the right to boot somebody if it's hate speech, if it's and by hate speech I don't mean Facebook's terms of and Twitter's terms of hate speech, but if it's something that is inciting violence, if it's something that's going to get them into legal trouble, they'll block somebody, they'll boot people. So it's not like it's 100% free for all, like a lot of people out there would have you believe, where it's just a meeting place for a bunch of white supremacists. Their guidelines are pretty simple. Free speech is what this app was based on. The whole premise of this was free speech. Dan Bongino is a majority owner of it. It was created by a couple guys. It's based in Nevada, and it's just it just seems like it's going to be really cool. One of the features that I like the most here is the hashtags, and it's almost like you have to use the hashtags if you want to find something. But you go into your notifications here. You can go into the main feed, which is just got a whole bunch of stuff, people that you're not following. As you can see, there's a whole lot of political stuff on there right now. But if you go into just to search Parler, if you type in your hashtag or just type in prepping, for example, it'll look up people for you. And it will also go into hashtags with I like. So you can go into, let's go into prepping tips right here. And you'll see it's got a lot of posts about prepping tips. So it's not just the political stuff. It's the stuff that you find interesting. Let's go into prepping again, and let's just type in prepping because there wasn't a lot of hashtags there. So we'll go back over to hashtags. We'll just type in prepping. And you can see again a lot of different stuff over there. Over there, it's not as packed as Facebook or Twitter or anything like that yet. But I think eventually it could be really, really cool. And like I said, at duffandale.com, we're going to be going over there. We still got our YouTube channel. I'm still going to do Survivalist Prepper YouTube channel. I'll be a little bit more active on Survivalist Prepper here in the coming months as well. But I'm just done with Facebook and I'm done with Twitter. And I wasn't really much of a Twitter user anyway, but I don't like feeling like I'm behind this firewall, that I'm not allowed to make my choices, that I'm not allowed to question things. And when I do question things, you're automatically labeled some kind of outcast or whack job. Not that I'm not, completely used to that. Been labeled that my whole entire life, but I want to be able to make decisions for myself. And I think with the Parler app, it feels a lot more free over there. You remember what free speech actually feels and sounds like. And if there's something you don't like, there's some whack job that says something, you keep going, you move on. And that's the way it should be. But anyway, I'd love if any of you are users over at Parler, make sure and follow me, SP Dale, over there on Parler. And if you're not yet, we're doing some tutorial videos over at duffandale.com that it kind of explains it. It's different. So it takes a little bit to get used to. The language is different. They call it that, when you retweet stuff, it's not a retweet, it's a parlay. When you comment on something, you upvote it. You don't, no thumbs up and stuff like that. But I'm curious. I'd love your guys' thoughts on it. And like I said, if you're not over there yet, if you do join, make sure and follow Brian Duff and me, SP Dale. And hopefully we can get a really good prepping community going over there, sharing a whole lot of stuff and talking about whatever we want. But until next time, take care and prepare, everyone. We'll talk to y'all later.